a brand new season of the Path Radio Spotlight, I'm thrilled to welcome back a powerhouse in the rock world, Dead Groove's lead vocalist and bassist, Holly West. Holly's journey in music has been nothing short of relentless. A self-taught musician with a passion for raw, high-energy rock, she first made waves with her debut EP, Moquita, in 2017. She then gained national recognition as the bassist for Zeppearella, the all-female Led Zeppelin tribute band, where her electrifying stage presence and musicianship turned heads across the country. In 2020, Holly took things a step further, co-founding Dead Groove Band alongside drummer Fred Aching and guitarist Cesar Saliveri. Together, they've crafted a sound that fuses classic and stoner rock, carving out a distinct identity in today's new heavy music scene. Their self-titled debut album earned praise for its bold riffs and deep groove-driven energy. And the band continues to evolve, bringing an unfiltered, high-octane experience to their fans. Tonight, we'll dive into what's next for Holly and Dead Groove, their upcoming EP, and what fans can expect from their live shows. Holly West, welcome back to the Path Radio Spotlight. How are you?
Hello, I'm great. Thank you for having me again.
It's exciting when I get a follow-up interview because it means that we kind of did a decent job the first time around, right?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk to that guy again. I'll talk to the Pat Radio out of Toronto, Canada.
Yeah.
Why not, right?
You have great questions, so that makes a huge difference.
I love hearing that. I appreciate that because I do care about what what I want to ask you and what we can tell folks and try not to make it, sort of a can opener type of event, right? So
Yeah, thank you.
look, you've got a lot going on. I want to dive right in. Last time we talked about your journey as a musician, from bassist to lead singer, and I honed in on that because it's not you don't see it every day where the bassist is the lead singer as well sometimes. And I was just curious, has anything new influenced you as a performer and songwriter since then in that capacity?
Um, well, try, pulling off a new record and stuff, you always want to just keep striving to do more, right? So, I think the things that have influenced me to do more are just doing more covers and new ideas and just the overall like trying to do something new all the time just kind of influences me to keep going. I don't know. I guess I just have passion for it,
Yeah,
right?
Holly, talk about that for a second because you said, new covers. And
Hmm.
and sometimes when folks are looking at bands and they say, why do they do cover songs? Like you know, and when you do a cover song, um, you could take it a couple of different paths, right? You could take it down the
Hmm.
path of, hey, I want to sound exactly like the artist. But if you do
Yeah.
that, you run a few risks, right?
Hmm.
Or do you sort of rearrange it, kind of make it your own, and then sort of, hope that the fans buy into it, right?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think you can go either way in some respect, but making your own puts a twist on it that I think listeners find interesting. For instance, Fred and I now work with Cleopatra Records on a lot of stuff,
Mm.
and one of the things that they do is compilation records. They've been doing it for years and years, not just under Cleopatra. I mean, under Cleopatra, but like under their subdivision, record labels, where they get these awesome musicians to do covers of old songs in new ways. So right now they're working on yacht rock.
Oh yeah.
We've done what is it, like gothic valentines and things like that. So when you see maybe your favorite artist participating in that, you're more inclined to go through the catalog of what they've done. So I think that as far as covers for a band, there are many bands that I've seen that I don't know any of their songs, but when they did the cover, I knew the cover and could also kind of judge them as a band off of those, and not like judgy, but like
Yeah.
just kind of, you get a clear picture of who they are and what they bring to the table.
Yeah, and as a listener, as a fan, um, you make a connection with that new band based on those things. And for yourself as the musician, I guess, it gives you a little bit of a larger canvas to paint with, and it changes maybe your confidence in how you might approach some of your own music, I gather.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, when when you have bands, you typically figure out like a cover that you would probably do. I mean, it's just kind of you're talking to other musicians, right? And it's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's a great song. That's a great song. Oh, we kind of sound like that. That would be a good cover for us, you know. And so, just it's kind of an identity thing. And then you basically, you're not going to do a cover of something you don't like, right? So the band
Yeah.
has to agree on it, right? So if you do the cover and you do it well, you're like, that's cool. Let's see what other stuff they have in their catalog. And you can bounce off of that. A lot of people write things in different ways. They have different like influences. And so if you are writing, based off of other people's riffs or other people's songs that you like and stuff like that, I think you'd be able to find that avenue through covers that you do or songs that you just really like as a band together.
Have you guys had to compromise on any covers to date? Like where maybe you go, I don't know if I want to do that, and Fred and Cesar are like, yeah, yeah, let's do
Yeah,
it, let's do it. Have you? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Captain Beefheart. Fred's a really,
Uh,
really big Captain Beefheart fan, and as if you know anything about Captain
yeah,
Beefheart, he's kind of strange, but it's really cool stuff. I mean, it's very catchy, very cool. It's Fred likes a lot of weird music. I'd say not like jazz or something like that.
yeah,
That's more streamlined, but like something that is eclectic
yes.
in big ways, and so Captain Beefheart's just called to him. And also we have a new record coming out. I'm sure we'll talk about that in a second,
Yeah.
but in our new video that's coming out in a couple days, we have a picture from was it the guitar player? Yeah, the guitar player from Captain Beefheart, who did a lot of the artwork for Captain Beefheart. And so Fred's holding up a picture of his. So he's got to work it in there some way.
That's
But
awesome though. That's
yeah,
great.
but
I love that.
I mean, the compromise is that, I want him to be happy. And if he really wants to put something in there, then, I mean, there's space for it. It's not like, we have to be so worried about our image. Our image is the three of us coming
Yeah.
together as musicians. It's not my way or your way or whatever. So,
No, it's awesome. I was just curious because sometimes you start throwing out songs and I don't want to do that, or
yeah,
I guess there's different ranges too or whatever, but you guys are in a different level when we talk about range as well. So uh,
yeah.
you've got a wide spectrum, right?
Yeah, we do have a wide spectrum. I mean, we want to be true to our fans, right? So we we write these songs and we do these covers based off of things that we find comfortable pulling off. And we want our fans to appreciate, the artistry and what we're doing as well. We don't want to do something that's so out of the box. People are like, what the fuck was that? We want at least to be entertaining and still have, that deep groove that we love so much.
Maintain the connection. Like, so we've been talking here, and you have been part of multiple musical projects. We're going to talk about a couple as well. And before we actually hit the record button to go tonight, you talked about working with some different bands, and even having people drop by, and other artists drop by. How
Yeah.
does that continue to shape the way that you guys as a band approach Dead Groove music?
You mean like being here in Hollywood?
Yeah, I guess,
Yeah.
and having that constant
It's
flow,
exciting.
and being in it, living it,
Yeah.
right?
It's really exciting. I mean, we work for a notable LA record label called Cleopatra Records
Yeah.
that has some of the coolest bands on there. We are now on there, so it's really fun. We're really part of the family. They just moved to Sunset, so or Boulevard, I guess it is Sunset
Yeah.
Boulevard. right by the rainbow. So it's literally a few blocks from us. And we get to walk to work, and enjoy the office. And we've got a lot of things coming up there. Right now we're just uh decorating the whole office and painting and stuff. And then, we've got the core of the Sunset Strip here. It's exciting and it makes us really want to just do more and more. And like this week, we have the record coming out, we have a new video coming out. We have 2 shows here in Hollywood to celebrate that.
Yeah.
And, we just have to make it work. And also just our energy just comes from doing it. We just want to do it and keep it going, especially with a new record coming out.
Holly, and we're going to talk about that record, and we're just going to, give some more teasers and have people stick around here for a little bit before we get to it. You used the word family just now
Mhm.
when you referenced Cleopatra, and what does that mean when you say in the music world, family? What does that entail?
Just the fact that, Brian trusts us so much with what we do for him.
Yeah.
And we get treated like, like we're definitely part of the establishment of this record label. Fred is the art director, so he's actually created like three, almost 400 uh um uh uh what do you call it, album covers for all these different artists. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And we do authoring for DVDs and Blu-rays that come through there. So it's part of the entertainment part of Cleopatra as well. And then like I was the merch girl for the Rose Tattoo shows at the Whiskey a couple weeks ago. Just because, they needed someone and
Yeah.
I was there and it's like, yeah, I'll pay you. It's like,
That's
cool, I'll
awesome. So
do
you're
it.
integrated, like you
Super
truly are
integrated.
integrated with Cleopatra, and
Mhm.
you have that's what you mean by the trust relationship. I just thought,
Yeah.
what does that mean? Because family means a lot of different things to a lot of different people,
Yeah.
sometimes, right?
Yeah. Well,
Um,
like the other day, Fred got the call to join, the UK Subs, the punk band UK Subs.
yeah.
It's a huge band. And the singer was able to come over, but the band got turned away at customs or at the border. So he needed a band, and they called Fred to learn 15 punk songs in 24 hours. And he pulled it off great. You
Rock on,
know,
Fred.
I know he's amazing anyways, right? But it's just that's the calls that we get now.
Wow.
So yeah, it's great. It's great. It's great to be integrated in it.
So the multiple projects are ongoing. They're continued. You're integrated with the label. You recently announced Sacramento, I'm back, and this time with
Yeah.
Black Days, the ultimate Soundgarden tribute. Now, how does that come about, and what's it like being, we've talked about, channeling, cover songs, etc. But now you're in a band that,
Mhm.
is trying to channel the sounds of Chris Cornell and Soundgarden. What's
Yeah.
that like?
Um, it's
Expectation.
very interesting. It's very interesting. Our singer looks a lot like Chris Cornell.
Huh.
Um, so of course people want to see that. Um, I had to learn those songs pretty quickly. I had them for a while, but I had a lot of projects coming up and I didn't know exactly when I was going to be touring with them. And so finally got it together. We had a few rehearsals and then we were off to our first 2 shows. But with Chris Cornell, there's many facets of Chris Cornell and his performances, right? So you have the early version of Chris Cornell, who's crazy, all out there performance. Actually, all of
Yeah.
them were super performance style, everything, right? And then you have the latter, which they're pretty boring and definitely
Subdued at least.
very
Yeah.
subdued and
Yeah.
also just not as exciting and not vocally there at all.
Yeah.
I've seen Soundgarden in their later days before Chris died, and I was not impressed with the live show. The coolest thing was just seeing them live, seeing them, being in
Yeah.
the same room with them, especially Chris. But that's it, But the early stuff was kick ass. And so we're trying to do, as well as, so one can trying to pull off Chris Cornell and Soundgarden. But, it's a big steep hill to climb, just like Zeppelin is. You really have to hone in everyone has to really hone in on their crafts. But yeah, I as far as like playing Ben Shepherd's parts and stuff, I had to look on, his rig rundown and see,
Hmm.
the stuff he had and what I had and what would kind of pull off a live show performance. We don't really want to sound studio, we want to sound live, right?
Yeah.
So and then just playing his parts is really fun. Anytime you play a new catalog of somebody, more than just a few songs, it's really eye-opening, and it makes you grow as a musician. So I was definitely up for the challenge. I have a lot of other projects like this coming up the rest of the year too. So it's been really challenging but fun. I haven't really said no to too many things, as long as they're paying, a good enough amount of money. But I think it's helping me a lot to grow as a musician. I think it's
So
always important.
a little bit of foreshadowing there, because as you immerse yourself in something like Black Days, and that Soundgarden world,
Mhm.
and then you come out of it and you're with Dead Groove, do you find
Mm.
an immediate influence in what you're doing in Dead Groove from that body of work that you just did with Black Days?
Yeah, because I'm using distortion a little bit more. I'm using a
Yeah.
little bit more power. So it's nice to get these cool grooves down that have a lot of power behind them. And I mean, we do that a lot in Dead Groove as well. But I mean, we haven't written anything new since this record, but the record's coming out, in a couple of days. So it's not like
Yeah.
we're in a hurry. But we will be writing new stuff, and the influences just come from everywhere. I think we have longevity in this, so I don't think this will be the last record.
Now as you're doing that and bringing in, your sort of new sound, and Fred's kind of doing his thing, etc., and he's bringing in his, do you recognize that amongst each other? Do you kind of go, hey, what's going on there? Where'd you pull that from? Or like, is that part of
Mhm.
it? Or do you just, because you're so close with each other all the time, it just kind of integrates and you kind of go with it?
Well, kind of two different things there. Fred and I, typically when we rehearse, we start jamming. That was like our first date, actually, was a 4-hour jam session. So we're really used to jamming. And that's like, the other side where you just pull stuff off and
Play around.
yeah, play
Yeah.
around. And that's just your influences from different things and just your own style, right? But the other part is really just how you write and how you put things together. We did listen to a lot of things we were influenced by for the first record, also the second record. Um, Caesar's really good at making riffs. So, Fred will say, make a song that sounds kind of like this song and this song to get in that vibe, right? And so, Caesar will come up with something. I learned a long time ago from BB King's son-in-law, at least that's what he said, he was his son-in-law. He said, artists listen, but good artists really listen. So I kind of took that to heart and said, well, there's only a certain amount of notes anyways, so let's just see what we got. But it's not, you don't have to rip anything off, although, some of my favorite bands ripped everything off.
It's a form of flattery. It is. It's a form of
But
flattery.
hey, if it works, it works, right? And sometimes you'll come up with stuff and you're like, oh, this is really good. And somebody say, oh yeah, that's this song. And you're like, oh shit.
It's funny you said there, Fred will say to Caesar, hey, can you come up with, this, and this? And you made
Mhm.
me think, like, today we've got artificial intelligence and people say, hey, can you kind of come up with this, and
Mhm.
this?
Yeah,
You've
there's
got your
that
own,
too.
you've got your own engine there in Caesar,
Good
eh?
run,
Big.
Caesar. Yeah. Yes, but I work with a lot with AI for the video stuff for Cleopatra, and I think that AI's come a long way in a very short amount of time. It's only going to get better. It has gotten a lot better,
Yeah.
but the thing is that the human aspect still isn't there,
Yeah.
and we're so used to having the human aspect that I don't think we're going to just go robot, overnight. Um, I
Holly, is
think.
there is there a creative place for AI in music? And if you think there is, what's the capacity? What should we accept?
Um, well, I'm not the one to ask like what we should accept and what we shouldn't. I think you should, calibrate that on on your own, because some people just can't get their head around it, and some people just will never accept it. So I say that the way that I accept it is that the human aspect isn't there. It's not going to be. I don't think it's going to take over. I think that it's just a tool that we use. Um, Cleopatra has used AI for certain things, like the rap artist DMX. So DMX had an unfinished album, and one of the
Right.
songs on there was a Christmas song. And he's done Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer before. He's done Christmas stuff. He loved Christmas stuff, and this one was called Silent Night.
Mm,
And people who aren't hardcore DMX fans that just know his hits didn't see the correlation. But it was known that they finished the song with AI. It doesn't mean they wrote the whole song with AI.
right.
It just means that they helped. It was a tool that helped them finish it up.
Yeah.
And we did a video that was AI. We use a program that we just, we tell it, but this is the human aspect. You still have to have the human tell the
Yeah.
machine what to do. So Fred and I had to come up with like just super, specific descriptions. And then we have to run a few of them and see, what works. And then we have to take all that and we have to edit it, you
Yeah.
know. Maybe at some point they'll have a point, you press the button, you get a whole video out of it,
Yeah.
which I think they have some software like that now. But I started to edit. I started to put hours and hours of
Yeah.
editing into these things. The song itself, they had to put hours and hours of editing. So it's not like it's taken over. It's not like it's even
Yeah.
close to that.
Anyone who hasn't worked with AI, when you work with AI, and,
Yeah.
and you said something very, very important. It's the set of instructions that you have to generate and the specific set of instructions, because otherwise you end up arguing with AI because
Yeah,
it
you do.
doesn't, it doesn't always, it doesn't
Yeah.
always translate your artistic view of something. And
Oh,
so
I've told
you-
AI to fuck off many
yeah.
times.
I might have done the same.
Yeah, it's dumb.
All right, look at you talked a little bit about writing, and I know
Mhm.
that you do some blogging, Holly.
Yeah.
You mentioned in an earlier blog post that you've been writing since you were 9 years old.
Mhm.
And I'm just wondering, how has that early creative drive influenced your songwriting?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, that blog is fun. I've been doing the blog since the beginning of the year. It's kind of overwhelming the amount of people who have actually checked it out. I'm really, really thankful for that. But yeah, I started writing in when I was 9. I started writing poetry, and the reason I started writing poetry is because my grandmother was a poet. I have my two grandmothers. One was a painter and one was a poet. And so I grew up, you know, reading her poetry. She had a whole room dedicated to writing poetry. And so when in the blog, you'll see that, I was glued to the computer. I just loved the computer so much because there's some creative things on there. I can't remember what, like Paint Shop. Remember Paint Shop?
Yeah.
So I would
Yeah.
just be in Paint Shop all the time. Um, and when I got my own laptop, I felt very studious, with my own little laptop. And this is back in the day when these were like, bigger machines than they are
Yeah.
now. But I would write my poetry on there, and things would just come to me all the time. And I mean, they were very juvenile, but they were cute, mostly about love. And I don't know why I didn't know anything about love, I think that's like the easiest thing to write about.
It's universal, right? It's
Yeah, yeah,
universal.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I also wrote kind of prose pieces that were just deep thoughts, like blog posts that I do now. Um, things about children starving in Africa and why we can't fix that, you know, like these very deep contemplated issues at a very young age. At 10 years old, I went to stay with my grandmother, the same one that wrote poetry. And she worked at a battered women's shelter for about 10 years. And I would go during the summers and stay with her and the women there and the
Wow.
kids that were there. It was very eye-opening at 10 years old
Yeah.
to know these stories. And these ladies, they loved me and they loved talking to me. And some of them opened up about the things that happened to them, you know, and it's not cool. So these thoughts really kind of weighed on my mind a lot about the world and how people choose to live and stuff. And um, so yeah, those little experiences when I was younger was like keeping me thinking about these things. I also
Yeah.
had family members. So because I'm actually from Oklahoma, way out in the country. And when you go that far out in the country, you have a lot of drug problems and things like that.
Mhm.
And I had some family that had some pretty crazy problems. And that also opened my mind up to writing. My first book I wanted to write was about I just wanted to put as much bad stuff in it as possible. And I don't know why. I was just really young, but I saw these things and that's what I wanted to open up to, I guess. You know, it was a 15-year-old girl that was addicted to heroin and having
Wow.
uh, miscarriages. And that was happening in my family to, you know, family members. And so everything had just kind of influenced me. And then eventually I decided I wanted to start writing music. So I was always into music. You know, I loved Whitney Houston and I loved Nirvana. I loved TLC. I loved everything, right? And
Really?
yeah, very big range actually.
Wow.
From yeah, pop, disco, rap, everything. Um, and so I begged my parents for guitar lessons, and it was expensive for them, so they didn't really want to contribute, you know, at the time. But I begged and begged and begged and begged, and finally at 13, I got lessons, and I don't know, it just all went over my head, you know. But I kept writing poetry, and in fact, I wrote a whole album of lyrics with no music, just all the lyrics of you know, this like, and I took them to a guitar player and told him I was a guitar player when I wasn't really a guitar player. And I gave him all the lyrics, and I'm like, I want to start a band. And the guy really liked the lyrics, but there's nothing he could do with me because I didn't know how to play guitar, you know, and I didn't even know how to sing. I wanted to. And my dad also thought it was weird if I go over to some dude's house, you know, by myself
Yeah.
for guitar or for practice. So it just never really happened. And I didn't have anybody at school that played.
Hmm.
So I just kept writing and writing and writing. And I hit a big writer's block at one point, and I do talk about that in the blog. And then after about at 21, I started. I went around. I went on cruise ships, and I basically traveled all these countries. And then I went to college. And when I was in college, I was in writing classes, and I had a lot of material, a lot more than any of the college students there. Like all these college students were like 18, 19 years old. They just got out of high school, and I was 24 at the time. And I had all this world experience. So my English teachers and my writing teachers loved me because I would actually give them cool things. So that catapulted into being able to write again. So I had a little break in there from like I think 19 to 21.
Now that's in one of your posts you talk about how your writing faded for a bit. Is that what you're
Yeah.
referencing the
Yeah,
path
yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff?
yeah. Just for
Yeah.
like a couple years. Because I was kind of just going in a different direction. I wanted to be a rap artist. And like you're talking about how it influences my music, you know, poetry
Yeah.
influenced all of my decisions to start writing music because poetry is basically
Yeah.
you know, lyrics. So
Yeah, I'm 100% relating to this from a generation perspective because my grandfather on my dad's side, he was a poet. And
Yeah,
he recites, and I have recordings of him from when I was like, 3 years old.
awesome.
He's no longer here, and my dad sort of did the same thing. So I can relate to that. Now, have you gone back in any of your poetry and some of the lyrics that have you pulled any of that into your more modern music?
Um, Not really. I have a big box of like I don't know. There's it's all my writing
Hmm.
throughout the years. I just never got rid of it. It's just like in a box with all these different
Yeah,
binders and stuff. And I don't know. I just feel like I've gotten better, and
yeah.
I also like the serendipitous. How is that the word for it? Serendipitous.
Serendipity.
The
Yeah,
serendipity of just going in and letting it flow as
yeah,
well. It's I think I want to. I don't want to use something old for something new if I can get away with making something new because
yeah.
I've grown, you know. But there are reasons to go back for other projects or other things that I might do. Probably more solo wise because a lot of that stuff was written for solo stuff.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
makes
with
sense.
that groove, I definitely want to keep it kind of the flow we have now is just making up new stuff.
I'm always impressed at how you do that and you segregate these things out. Um, you know, my kids when I play around with music, they're like, "Oh, we know what you're playing because you've got that little bit of a country rock sound, Dad." And it's just like, "Always?" And they're like, "Yeah, always." I'm like, I'm not really not good at separating these things. So, that's why you're a professional. Um, would you ever consider publishing a book or a memoir based on all this stuff that you've got? And it seems to bleed into your music world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the reason I'm doing the blog is to test out the waters
cool.
and get enough material to put it in a book.
Cool. Would look forward to that. It's
Thank you.
just based on what we heard, it sounds like an amazing story. Um,
Yeah.
look, again, so the last time that we spoke, we also talked about the origins of Dead Groove. And now with your new EP, we're finally getting there, everybody. Here it is.
Yeah.
Rubicon,
Yeah.
on March 21st.
Let's see.
Um,
Can you give me the Rubicon?
oh, you're gonna show us?
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna show you.
Yeah, I know. So, and I know I want to ask because you were at Cleopatra Record, but I don't want to. I don't
Mhm.
want to go there yet. You were there doing
Yeah.
some stuff. You were doing there some stuff today, but we're gonna talk about that in a second. Once
Yeah.
you show us.
Yeah. So this is the old one. Everybody remembers this
Yeah,
one with the spaceship and we're in Lima. Um, so we came up with Rubicon, which is there's only three songs, so it's a 10-inch vinyl.
yeah,
But this is the new Rubicon.
right on.
It's
And is
the
that a Fred artwork?
yes, of course.
Right on. Awesome,
Absolutely.
Fred.
They both are. So this is the Death Flower, just like an
Yeah,
Italian orchid flower,
yeah,
in Dead Groove style. And it says Rubicon. And then we have our picture on the back.
on the back.
And then inside, just the information about the record and the recordings. And then the two original songs, the lyrics are on the back.
Right on.
And then it is a clear vinyl.
Oh, that's so cool.
And so this with the Rubicon logo is the two originals. And then we have our cover of Ace of
On the
Spades on
back.
the back.
That is so cool. What made you go clear?
Well, when you do a certain number of copies
Yeah.
on certain types of vinyl, you only have a couple of options.
That's so
We
cool though.
yeah, we wanted a splatter that looked really close to the blues
Yeah.
and the pinks and stuff. But it's a lot more expensive. So cost effective and stuff.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
this one actually also has kind of a tie to this is the spaceship now has the Rubicon Flower of Death here.
Oh, ever cool.
Yeah, yeah. So of
Nice
course,
tie-in. Nice tie-in.
yeah, Fred's really good at that stuff.
I love the little things like the little subtleties,
Yeah,
the little hidden things like
yeah,
that. So,
yeah.
um, now you were at Cleopatra. You were signing some of these? Is that?
Yeah, we were signing just the other day. We stopped by. So Cleopatra has a warehouse in Texas. So if you order off their website, they'll send it
Yeah.
to you from Texas. And they wanted a few of the signed copies so that they can sell them. And we have some here that we can also sell. But if you go to their website to get the record, it'll come from them.
So this is really you guys using your hands to sign the things, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But the only thing is Caesar isn't here in the States, so he didn't sign
Right.
it, but Fred and I signed them.
Very cool. Now, as we're talking about the album and the transition, sound evolution from the first set of songs to this, what are
Yeah.
we talking?
It's a more polished version of Dead Groove. And the engineer that we used is different. And so we actually went into his studio and mixed with him. So I think that helped a lot to polish the sound out because before Fred was actually on the road while they were mixing all the
Right.
music and it was really hard. And the guy lived in a different country. And so
Right.
it was a little bit different. And it was our first record, you know. So now we actually, and there were only, you know, 3 songs. So we really kind of pigeonholed to get a better sound.
So does the Rubicon EP lean more towards a specific genre, or does it continue to fuse your different styles together? Like, does it, and you said earlier, I want to stay true to the Dead Groove sound. So
Yeah.
how does that all fit in?
Yeah. Um, our style ranges from like rock and roll, stoner rock,
Yeah.
heavy blues, all the way to metal. We're in that genre, right? Or that part of that of the rock and roll genres. Um, it's so hard to calibrate your own band, to be honest. But I think what comes out of us authentically. And we have the 3 songs that are on there, they represent 3 different types of sound. One represents rock and roll, like 70s style rock and roll. One represents metal, and one represents kind of our like Book of the Dead kind of stuff, the
Right.
heavy blues stuff,
Now,
kind of
as you're
desert
talking,
metal or
desert, did you
desert
say
rock.
desert metal?
Or desert rock, desert
Desert
rock.
rock.
Yeah, that's
I love the labels that you're throwing out. These are really um so as you're talking about the sound of the songs,
Mhm.
are there themes or stories running through the EP that tie the songs together? Or are we
Uh,
hearing?
not really together, not like we did with the first record.
Okay.
We kind of had a way of tying things together, but for this record, I mean, this EP, we covered the song that we've been covering live, which is Ace of Spades. But we have the tempo pulled back a little bit, so it's a little groovier. So that helps, you know, it's not like, oh, here's
Yeah.
crazy metal Ace of Spades, you know, it's a little bit more laid back than that, has a female voice, so it's a little bit different.
Right.
Um, this first song on the EP is called Fire, and it's very much like Hendrix meets what is it? Oh, the name escapes me. The Cult.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then the second song, The Damned, I think is very true to our I always say that the Book of the Dead, that song is like our cashmere, it like really represents us as Dead Groove. And I think this second one would be The Damned, like the new Book of the Dead is
Yeah.
The Damned.
The new
And
book
that
of the
video will
Dead.
come out. I think that video comes out tomorrow, right? Yeah, the video premieres tomorrow.
So March
Thursday, yeah.
19th is the video.
Or I'm sorry, Thursday. Friday, the
March
20th.
20th. 20th.
Yeah,
March
March
20th.
20th. Yeah.
Okay. Get our dates straight. Um,
Yeah, yeah. The video comes out the 20th. The record comes out, or the EP comes out the
yeah.
21st. And we have shows on either end of that.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about your whiskey show next
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
So
We're
look,
actually we're playing one tomorrow at Lucky Strike
I thought
Live.
I saw that. Where are you
Yeah.
at?
Lucky Strike Live in Hollywood. It's for the Sound Check Live, which is the big jam. They always have a local opener. And so they asked us to open, and then we're also playing songs in the jam.
Hey, right on. So that's tomorrow if is the 19th.
Mhm.
Hopefully
Yeah.
I'm hoping we get this out tonight so
Cool.
folks can hear that and say, "Yeah, we're
Yeah, yeah.
going Lucky Strike."
Awesome.
Look, so you said earlier, hey, you asked some pretty good questions, Guido, and so I get embarrassed when I have to ask some of the obvious questions, like,
Yeah, all good.
so the Rubicon name, what's the significance?
Uh-huh.
What's the story behind it? Right?
Yeah,
People are gonna want to know, and everybody else is gonna ask you, so I gotta kind of fit like,
true. Some people don't understand what Rubicon means. I heard the story. I first heard the story about Caesar and the Rubicon River in Italy a long time ago. After I put out Mochita, and I thought to myself that was actually going to be my follow up would be an album called Rubicon. So I saved the name obviously because I didn't do a second Holly West album. Hopefully there
yeah.
will be some, in the future. But for Dead Groove, we had this new EP coming out, and it is our new polished sound. We have moved on from what we did before.
Yeah.
We've moved on business wise, and just musically as well. And this, as a new polished version, we're coming out. We're basically crossing over to Rubicon. The if people want to dive further to why I say crossing over the Rubicon, you can look up Caesar and his takeover of Italy. But basically, the meaning or the saying with it is
Yeah.
crossing over the Rubicon, meaning the point of no return. So we did our first record. We got our rawness out, got all the angst out, and all the we're just more cleaned up version, more polished version. And I think that from here, with Cleopatra's help, is going to be a much different outlook, much
So
better.
this is deep. There's actual deep
Yeah.
meaning and connection. So
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
crossing over the Rubicon. So yeah, hopefully folks are gonna look into that. I might look into
Mhm.
it, see what else I can add to it, because
Yeah.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
interest there. By the way, as you were taking and showing us the Rubicon album and taking all that
Uh-huh.
out, I love that. Like the insert coming out.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah, and you
so,
can read the lyrics,
yeah,
and it's like yeah, a lot of it's it's hard now, right? Because you have digital and people want music for free and whatever, but
yeah,
um it's really cool to have the like what they made, what they approved, what they loved, and I loved all my CDs. I didn't want to
yeah.
part with the jackets ever. I wanted the whole thing.
Same.
Um
Look,
and
I still have a wall of discs and records and all that stuff because I love it.
yeah.
And it's one thing to download the digital file, but
Hmm.
when like even the artwork, right? Like
Hmm.
Fred's artwork there, right? To hold that
Yeah.
in your hand and to be able to see the dimensions of it, a printed
Mhm.
dimension is different than looking at it digitally.
Absolutely.
And so, I always say I encourage folks, get yourself
Mhm.
a hard copy of this because it's a different experience. Get both.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Yeah.
digital files don't cost that much anyway. So
Yeah. Yeah.
get both
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
a really good
But
experience.
this helps us do
Right.
more.
It
Digital doesn't
does.
help us do more. Digital just helps us get our name out there. It's
Right.
technically a tool, um, but it unfortunately it's a tool that robs us a little bit. But when you buy physical copies or like merch, we got some for the whiskey show. We got some merch. So we have some t-shirts.
Oh, look at that. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
it's really, really nice.
That is
Um,
beautiful.
we got some hats, so
Now,
people
can
can
folks order
actually.
that online, Holly?
Not yet, or actually, yeah,
Not
you
yet.
can, yeah, you can.
Okay.
I think my website is down. It's supposed to be up either today or tomorrow. I had some issues with it, and we changed the website URL, and I think that's the
Oh,
reason.
okay.
It was Dead Groove Band. It's now just Dead Groove.
Oh, okay. All right.
So it should be up very shortly, though. I think I figured out what was wrong with
So
it.
we go to deadgroove.com
.com. Yeah,
and
exactly.
they'll be able to see those
Mhm.
those
Yeah,
cool
yeah, and
items.
we've got these snapback
Oh,
hats
look
that
at
say
that.
Rubicon on them.
Beauty.
Yeah, we're
I love the
excited.
merch. I love the merch. Good sale.
Yeah.
Hey, look, you've talked about Caesar a few times, and I know like the last time you mentioned Lima, Peru.
Uh-huh.
you did some, you recorded tracks in Lima. How did this work? For this EP, did you go there again, or was there a
Yeah, so
different approach, or?
that's another cool thing about our writing. Through asked a lot of questions about like how we were influenced with writing and stuff. So for this one, we had, Fred is typically the one that gets with Caesar and says, okay, let's create this kind of sound or this kind of,
Right.
vibe. So we had some stuff. Caesar had a couple riffs already written. Didn't have the full thing going like we did with the first record, because the first
Mm.
record was a lot of back and forth digitally, on the internet, Zoom calls and things like that, getting things tight, demos. And then we went to Peru for a couple weeks and recorded everything. This time we had a couple little ideas. I had no vocals or no melodies at all. I just went down there. So we wrote together. We wrote these two songs together. So this is a
Right.
little bit different than the first record in that respect as well. So everything was written in writing sessions there.
So you went down to Lima.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
And
That's why it's also a short record.
I think I said to you last time, being there must somehow influence you guys a little bit too, right? Being in that environment.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's nice to travel. It's nice to be
Yeah.
somewhere else. Of course, it's Fred going home, so he
Right.
feels really comfortable there. Also, him and Caesar have been working together for a really long time. They had a band called Mauser.
Right.
They've done some tribute bands and stuff. They actually had a Soundgarden tribute band in Lima.
I thought for a second you were gonna say to me, "No, we all met in Italy." And
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, this is good. Yeah, we went to Hawaii this time, which we've thought about that, but we actually have to go somewhere that Caesar can go. So we might go to Spain. Um,
Cool.
yeah,
That would be cool.
but no, it's fun to go back to Lima. Honestly, we've done a lot of publicity down there. We've been published many times in the big magazines down there, so we're starting to get a little bit more of a draw.
Yeah.
Definitely getting more fans. It's feeling like like a real band experience down there now.
Yeah, it's like it'll become like it's like a second home, right? Like in terms of the
Hmm.
people you draw there.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Look, you've worked with a lot, also worked with a lot of different producers. And tell us again, who did you work with on the Rubicon EP, and how does that impact the sound of it, the production?
We actually don't have a producer for Dead Groove. We all are kind of the producer.
Self
Yeah.
self-produced.
Yeah, so yeah, we I've been making my own music for a long time, and Caesar has as well. Fred is really great at kind of the flow and direction of things. We don't really argue about too many things. We just kind of let it be and see what comes out. We work on, we talk about ideas we have before going in on working on a new song. These songs that we have on Rubicon, we wanted them a little bit shorter than the last record, so we didn't have these extra parts in there. So we kind of had a great idea of what we wanted, and as it comes out, we just work on ideas of like how it should be mixed, and we take it to a really good person that mixes, and we give it to a
Yeah.
really good mastering engineer. So it's all kind of, it's definitely self-produced.
And it sounds like it's a team effort on the production.
Mhm.
There's not like, you're not, there's no one's really taking the lead. It's kind of like, hey, what do we hear? How do we do it?
Yeah,
How do we change it up a bit,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I typically
Um,
let them work on it first, and then I'll come in, because I mean, bass, as long as it's not completely buried, it's good. And vocals, as long as they're completely not completely buried, it's good. But we had a really good mixing engineer this time, and we were in his studio, and that made a big difference.
Now, I'm just curious, and again, I apologize for asking this.
No worries.
Um, do you have a favorite track on the Rubicon EP? And I know you talked about the difference between the three of them, and after you
Yeah,
told me that, I'm kind of like, well, they've
yeah,
all got a little bit of a different feel, so how are you going to really pick a favorite? But
yeah,
you kind of leaned on one where you said, hey, this is kind of like the new Book of the Dead. So is that
yeah.
the one you lean towards, maybe?
Well,
Or
actually, I think that's Fred's favorite song. I think mine is probably Fire,
Oh,
but I mean, it's not like I love it more, like really, really love it more than the other ones. I think the other
yeah.
ones have really good merit too, you know. So it's not like my favorite as far as like I only like that song. It's like they're all different flavors of awesome.
What makes you like, why do you lean towards Fire? What is it about it?
It's just really high energy
Yeah.
and it's fun to play and sing and the lyrics are about Fred. So
Fred, Fire, I got it.
fire, yeah. He's
In
fire.
Italian, Foco.
Perfect.
Right on. So, talking about Fire, you guys are putting on a show at the Whisky-A-Go-Go on the 23rd. We talked about the one
Yeah.
tomorrow night. Whisky-A-Go-Go on the 23rd. Are
Uh-huh.
we playing like the three from the new EP? Are you gonna, is that the
Yeah,
set
we're gonna play
or?
the whole EP.
Yeah.
We'll play three of our most popular songs from the first actually four of our most popular songs from the first record,
Yeah.
and then the three songs at the end will be the new EP.
So you're looking at a 7, 8 song set?
Yeah, seven
Yeah.
songs. So it's
Are
30
you
minutes.
are you
Yeah,
gonna
30
do
minutes.
any like, or any surprise covers or anything like
No
that?
surprise covers, but it
Yeah.
will be Ace of Spades since it's on the record.
Oh, right on. Cool, cool. Now, do you, getting ready to play for the whiskey and Lucky Strike, do you prepare differently for different venues at all?
No, we still try to bring everything, we can. Like last night, we did just Fred and I, and it's actually really good for bass and drums just to do, rehearsals together. But we've been actually rehearsing almost every single night for a little while. But last night we really broke some things down and just honed in on like grooves and parts and stuff. So we're definitely looking forward to the next two shows, and we're definitely we are absolutely trying to take give it all, give it our all of our energy and 110%. So if I think every show is important,
Yeah.
especially as a new band. You, you can't hold back. Can't be
Holly,
half-ass.
do you guys have, as you're doing these shows, do you have any sort of pre-show rituals or any superstitions or anything that is must do or a certain order
I mean, I play, I don't know, at least 80 shows a year,
or
so I have I have certain times before the show that I have to do things like I can't eat too close to the show. I have to drink caffeine within an hour before the show. And then I have to try and go to bed like right when we get to the hotel. But as far as like superstitions, I don't really have any superstitions. I used to have I would put I would put crystals in like in my outfit and stuff. I don't know why. I just thought that helped. But after the pandemic, I stopped.
it all went out the window with the
Throw it out the
pandemic.
window at that point. But not
Yeah,
so much superstition, but I do like to have some B12 or caffeine before the show so that I can keep my energy up.
right
As
on.
far as singing, Fred and I do a vocal warm up. I love Cheryl Porter, vocal coach. I do like her 10-minute vocal warm ups, and then lots of water. Yeah.
Basic sort of healthy
Yeah,
stuff, right?
tea
Just
is
trying to keep
good.
myself in
Hot
check.
tea is really good.
Yeah,
And good vocal rest as well.
right on. Now, as you're doing these live shows, and I'll just to scrape the surface on this a little bit, there's a lot of things happening in the USA right now,
Mhm,
on the political scene. Has that
mhm.
changed anything in the music scene or the live shows in any way? Does it impact your band at all?
I don't think it impacts our bands or so much live shows. I think that unfortunately it is such a hot topic right now that people don't want to talk to the other side. So you can't really express your political opinion. Um, and the people that do already alienate us, half of their audience or or whatever. So I think my views probably differ from some of the people I play with, and that's totally fine. But they align with others that I play with, and
Right.
that's fine too. But I think that that's more of a private thing that even though music has been the angst, and you got bands like Rage Against the Machine
Right.
I mean, they're raging against the machine. They find their fans. There are some bands out there that are finding their fans because of their political affiliation, but I don't feel like I'm in any bands that need to uh, put that out there. So
Define it doesn't have to define you in what you're doing, I think is what.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I think that this new song called "The Damned" is as political as we're gonna get. It's not a political song. It's more about the man and
Yeah.
having to work too hard and get nothing back, or people that just want to take from you. So I think that's as political as we're gonna get, to be honest. Although we did get religious with the Book of the Dead. The Book of
Yeah.
the Dead is about making fun of the fact that not everybody gets to go to the afterlife, if there is one. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck's up with that? Dumb. You gotta pay to play. I don't think so. You know.
Yeah, you got to pay your
So,
stipend. Yeah.
right. What the hell?
No, that's cool. I'm curious, like, how this scene or the political scene had infiltrated, or if it's infiltrating
Yeah,
your music
I
and
think
the
it
dynamics
has
and all that.
divided a lot of people.
Yeah.
It really has divided a lot of people, which is sad. We live in America. We should be able to think how we want to think, and take whatever side we want to take without getting mad at the other side.
Yeah.
I don't get mad if somebody's talking political to me and they're just really upset with whatever's going on, or whatever, and it's
But
fine.
you haven't seen it from a fan perspective. Your things are kind of steady.
Yeah. If I do talk any politics online,
Yeah.
the people who don't know me start, getting mad at my music or whatever, telling me to, write better music. So it's always they always go there. So
It
I
goes to
learned to
that
just
next level.
I just learned to keep my mouth shut, to be honest, because I'm not here to make enemies. I'm not here to like for people to get mad at me.
You're here to make music.
I'm here to make music, and that
Right on.
speaks to people, and all my songs and lyrics are open to interpretation. I don't care if you think that I'm, writing about whatever. It is what it is. You interpret it how you want to. I'm just writing.
It's the artist. It's the artiste.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
Hey, look, last time we wrapped up by asking where fans could find your music and merch. You talked about your website, which is going to be deadgroove.com.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm usually more together than this. I needed to renew the service, and instead of renewing that URL, I made a new URL and tried
it's
to hook it
okay.
up to the computer. I think it's going through right now. So at any point, you'll be able to go to deadgroove.com in the near
Deadgroove.com.
future, or even right now. It's possible it's up now. I did this like last night. But you can also find us on Shopify if you really do want to buy the new
Oh,
record or
Shopify.
the stuff. So we're on Shopify.
Cool.
And then of course, all of our social media, Dead Groove Band.
Cool. That's what I was gonna say, because I just want to make sure that I get your sites in there so
Mhm.
that
Yeah, we're
can
Instagram,
find you.
Facebook, X, TikTok, YouTube, and Spotify,
We'll get all the links in there like we
Apple
did last
Music. All
time.
it's on all
Yeah.
the streaming platforms, of course.
All the streaming platforms. But
Yeah.
we want physical stuff in
Oh, you want to buy the
physical.
record?
You do. I love the t-shirt. Show the t-shirt
Oh,
one
the
more time.
t-shirt's
The
gorgeous.
t-shirt
Yeah.
rocks,
We
man. That's
have two
awesome.
different styles, actually. We have one with the flower on the front, one with the flower on the back.
Oh.
But they're all on the website, so there's the shirt.
See, I'm more of the flower on the front. Like I want to see
It's
it.
beautiful. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really beautiful.
Yeah, that is. I
Great.
like, and sometimes you're like, well, it's got the pinks and all the other colors. I'd wear that. I love it. I think it looks awesome.
Yeah, no, I think it's pretty good quality. We've
Yeah.
used this company for a while and kind of found the best like the best shirts to use from their company
Yeah.
and whatever. So
I like when, bands do t-shirts that have sort of that universal feel and look to them. Like you can wear that
Yeah,
anywhere, right? And it's
yeah.
not so
Uh,
so that is
uh,
pretty cool.
a black t-shirt. Everybody likes black
Right,
t-shirt. I'm
man.
wearing a Pantera shirt right now.
I just wore black today. I didn't wear there's no logos on me today. Over here
The
somewhere.
stripe action going on.
Stripes, yeah. Holly, is there anything that you'd like to leave us with before we wrap up?
Um, no, I think that's about it. I mean, if you guys are into reading, read my blog. That'll eventually become a book. Definitely come to the show if you can. We'll be touring at some point soon. I do want to mention that, because Caesar can't get here from Peru. So we have Jake Fawn on guitar. He's played with Winger, David Lee Roth. He plays with Bullet Boys now. He's a badass, an English badass here in Hollywood.
Welcome to Dead Groove, Jake.
Yeah, and he's cool. He's got
Next
blonde
thing you
hair, so you
thought.
got the two blondes in the front and the brunette in the back, just like ZZ Top. Oh, yeah, it's like ZZ Top. This is awesome. I just thought of
You just
that.
you're just channeling everything. I love it. It's a melting pot. Dead Groove is a
Instead of the
melting pot.
beards, we have the long blonde hair. It's perfect.
You know what?
And
I
then,
gotta get you. I gotta
yeah,
get you just one of those tie-on beers just to see you do it. No, I'm just
Halloween for
kidding.
sure.
I'm just kidding.
Or we'll do like do we do a show on April 1st? That would be fun.
Oh
April
yeah, that
Fool's
would be
show.
cool. That would be cool. April 1st,
Yeah.
right? With a
Yeah.
career marked by relentless passion and commitment to musical excellence, Holly West continues to push boundaries and inspire audiences worldwide. Dead Groove Band is set to release their new EP, Rubicon, on March 21st, further solidifying their presence in the rock music landscape. Following the EP release, they'll take the stage at the iconic Whisky-A-Go-Go in West Hollywood on March 23rd, promising fans an electrifying live experience that you should go to or check out. Even if you missed that one, go find them. Thank you again for joining us, Holly. Best wishes on the new album, the shows, and of course, I do hope that you come back. Maybe bring Fred with you too.
Yeah. He's here. He's just working.
Right on, Fred. Take care, Holly. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Right on.